Growing up as a kid and even into my teens, loved life. Happy guy, didn't even really understand what depression was. I actually experienced mild hair thinning when I just started puberty. So as a 15-year-old boy, you can imagine that that could be quite traumatic. I lived a really healthy lifestyle. Like I was actually always into alternative nutrition, holistic medicine. And when I was 17, 18, I did know about finasteride. I did research it on the internet. I had read the horror stories. And at that point I said, I still kind of want to stay away from these drugs. Then fast forward to 22 years old. I still remember the month, day, the year. Everyone remembers. It was October 2015 and I had started a new job that I loved. I felt like my life was going in a really upward spiral, positive direction. I went to my doctor. I asked, Doc, I'd like to try finasteride. And then he asked me, are you aware of the side effects? And I said, yeah, and I know how to beat them. What I had researched was, it seems that most side effects come from estrogen getting out of control because we're inhibiting DHT. If you can just manage your estrogen, then you're fine. Very, very naive of me. So I got the prescription filled. I went back home, I popped the first pill and I was like, wow, this is so easy. I felt great actually. And within 3 months, I literally gained 7 years worth of hair that I lost. I felt on top of the world. I thought I figured out the puzzle. I beat the side effects, even my acne improved. Everything was dandy for 6 or 7 months. One night, I had some friends over and something was causing me to become stressed. This stressful situation just felt prolonged. My mind suddenly would not slow down. It would stay fixated on a problem and my mind would exacerbate that problem and blow it up. Then the anxiety came. That night, when I went to sleep and I woke up, everything fucking changed. Literally overnight. It was a complete cognitive shift in my reality. I remember one day, part of my job at that time was doing door-to-door sales. Standing outside, just completely losing my mind. Everything was blank. I couldn't think. I couldn't feel. I couldn't articulate. I was so distraught with what was going through my head. Something's really wrong here. And I sat down on the curb on the side of the street I was doing work on and I just started crying. Just tears rolling out of my eyes. I had no fucking idea what was going on. I had a thought in the back of my head, maybe it was that finasteride, but I didn't want to believe it. The way I can experience this feeling is I wouldn't have wished it on my worst enemy. It was so painful. I had said to myself, is this depression? And I realized, no, what I'm going through, this is something chemical. This is something unnatural. Lobotomy is a great way to put it. It was like a flick of a switch. I lost all passions to do things. I lost the ability to enjoy previous hobbies. I was a very creative and imaginative person. I could listen to music and have the most vivid visuals in my mind and creativity. I lost the ability to use my imagination. I couldn't picture anything in my head. My me time was looking out the window, listening to my favorite music and just being up here. That was destroyed. I started having gut problems as well. I developed appendicitis within a month of the PFS triggering. First, I went for an ultrasound and the nurse had said, I've never seen someone's appendix this bad. You need to go to the hospital right now. I did go to the hospital. They gave me IV antibiotics. They didn't ask me, do I want them? They just hooked them up to me. The ones that go in the IV are not pretty. Right into the bloodstream. I'm pretty sure that people that get damaged, that's a way to do it. After this, then the condition got way worse. Now I have the chronic fatigue. No energy to do things. Suddenly, out of nowhere, food allergies. I could eat anything before I was sick, and now anything causes a reaction in me. The biggest thing was the fatigue and then the cognitive issues, anxiety, overthinking, the insomnia. Oh my God, inability to sleep. My brain fog was so bad. I couldn't do things. I couldn't enjoy things. It was just fucking miserable. Your emotions are gone, kind of like a robot. You've got massive anxiety going on. The easiest way that I can explain the brain fog is it's like you've got a gray, wet blanket sitting over your brain, and it slows down all the processes that are going on. Everything's fuzzy. It got so bad. Let's say I had a piece of paper in front of me. I would have to read this thing over and over again to understand what the fuck it meant, and I would have trouble remembering the last sentence that I read. The easiest way I can say is from that point on, the way I got through life was through my subconscious, because learning something new was so hard and required so much effort that it was almost impossible. People that have PFS or got hit with Accutane, taking on a new responsibility or a new task, especially in a stressed out state, is near impossible. Normal people that haven't been hurt by drugs or pharmaceuticals, that like us, they don't even understand. When you take a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, you are not just stopping DHT from going to your scalp. You are essentially taking a sledgehammer to your entire endocrine system. Neurological endocrine system, neurotransmitters, everything. Your potent anti-stress hormones are not functional, and your stress hormones are not even being fully metabolized. People have no idea how dangerous this is. It's been a journey getting back to where I am right now. I found that if I'm fasting, noticeably my symptoms improve. Around January 2018, I discovered something called the primal diet. The primal diet is essentially a fully raw diet, including, yes, raw meat. When I started doing this diet, that really also helped me with the mental symptoms, and the energy started coming back too. Now, mind you, I'm not cured, but from where I was in 2016 to where I am now, I can function. Consuming meat, especially whether fish, beef, in its raw state, as it should be, because that's what nature intended it to be, is the most healing for the body. So essentially, a raw primal diet is giving your body a complete reset to how you would have eaten in nature, and it's a complete elimination diet with any type of substances or phytotoxins or phytochemicals that may be causing an immune response. Try it, see how you feel. The baby steps are so important. If you try to do it a big thing all at once, you're putting way too much pressure on yourself. You're going to disappoint yourself. First, accept what you're going through, make the decision to improve, and treat it as a trial and error experiment with no set time. Just keep that momentum and get those small wins. Track what you do. Make an Excel sheet. Monitor what you eat. Monitor how you feel that day. If you felt bad, what did you do that contributed to that? In terms of recovery, if I was a 0 when it first hit, I would say right now, 60. A big portion of that 60% happened in the last 2 years. The first 2 years were kind of a nightmare. I didn't make a lot of progress. It was in the last 2 years when I put my mind to it and I started making those connections. So that's the power of self-research. For the people that may have androgen receptor issues, so for example, your hormones go up and you feel worse, or your hormones go up and they don't have any benefit. Butyrates, sodium butyrate, also this beta hydroxy butyrate. So one of the main benefits of a ketogenic diet is that you start running off beta hydroxy butyrate. There are studies that show that using these substances can demethylate the 5-alpha reductase enzyme and the androgen receptors. If you're suffering a methylation problem, there are people confirmed recovered from using these types of therapies. There's people that have fully recovered from GHB. There's people that have fully recovered by increasing their hormones, and there are people that have recovered from addressing the androgen receptor issue. I also want to give a shout out to kind of a controversial forum. It's called Hack Stasis. We're open to all ideas, all feedback, any theories that you might have. Everything goes. They help people with PFS, they help people with PSSD, and they help people with post-Accutane syndrome as well. A message to anyone out there with PFS. Listen, I think part of the reason why people have such a hard time coming forward with their PFS is because they're goddamn fucking embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, okay? So what? You were losing your hair and you didn't like it. You didn't want anyone to know in the first place. And then all of a sudden you tried to take a drug and then that drug fucked you up. So you're ashamed of the whole thing. Don't be. Come forward. There's so many people out there suffering that want to hear about other people's experiences. They want to hear what you've done, what I've done, what thousands of other people have done. Come forward with your testimony, with your experience. Don't be ashamed about it. We're all in this together. Your confidence issue, no one gives a fuck but you. Start making it about helping everyone. Everyone needs to realize this. Medicine is still about sales. People think that because it's medicine that they cannot be sold, but you're still being fooled. There's no difference in getting a drug prescribed to you than having a salesman at your door trying to sell you something. Magic is real. Wizardry is real in this world, and it's not the kind of wizardry and magic where someone's holding a wand. Wizardry is having a guy in a white or blue long coat with a little instrument around his neck called a stethoscope and a fancy little degree on his wall. Because he looks like and has these things, you take what he says as absolute truth. It puts a spell over people's eyes and they don't even question anything.